So England came from this direction, Japan has come from this direction. It's going to be a crowded island, so actually having a 3-city start may be all that we can get. It might be a bit crowded. So in my practice run, one of the things I did was I focused so early on getting an army that I completely ignored infrastructure, and I didn't build the National College until about 1600 AD, and it was too late. I mean, the computers had cities of size 30. Here's England. Cities of about size 30. We were just, it was an awful game, I tell you. It really was not a fun game. I'm gonna backtrack my warrior. I don't want him to go too far away from Persiopolis, which I'm going to rename. So, looking back, I chose to rename everything on my last Indian playthrough sort of weird things that had Ryan in the name, and we're not going to be that lame again. We're gonna try and sort of give ourselves some more original names. We start on a load of gold here, and we are Persia, who do golden ages. So we're gonna call our capital Forever Golden. That's what we're gonna try and do in this game. Forever Golden. That is the aim. If we can get golden ages all the way through the game, then that's great. So here's London, sat on the coast, which is fine. Space is going to be a premium, I think, which is why maybe it wouldn't be worth getting tradition as the first policy. Maybe it would be worth just gunning straight for collective rule to get that settler. I think we're going to do that. We lose out on that 3 extra culture at the start of the game. Is it worth it? Now, it's the difference between having 4 culture and 7 culture. I might not. I'm gonna stick to my guns. I'm gonna go for it. Okay. Got some dies up here. I think if I were to expand there, London would kill me. I don't think I'd be particularly happy. Now, normally I'd go straight for a shrine, just to get a pantheon pretty quickly, and we've got some good options, non-traditional options with Persia is to go with pantheons, but I'm going to go for a granary, purely because we've got a double wheat start. We may as well take advantage of it. May as well take advantage of that. I mean, right at the start of the game, at 2 food and 1 hammers, that, once we get civil service, is going to be, and farms on it, that's going to be a 5 food tile, which is really good to keep our growth up. Got a few marshes up here, we got sugars. Okay, not bad. No abundance of desert, which makes a nice change. The last few games I've played have just had sort of ridiculous amounts of desert everywhere, which has been an unusual start. But there we go. So we're already at almost pop 3, which is quite good for us. With that granary, it's going to tie in quite nicely with finishing writing, hopefully. Here we go. We've got a mountain up here. We want to keep an eye on the mountains that appear on the map because they make really good places to build cities. On a continent's map, I like to have lots of naval cities to build boats, especially if we're going Liberty. Our cities may not be as big as some of the tradition cities, so not having them on a coast can be quite silly sometimes. So we're going to keep an eye on that. Sorry, just drinking my Coke Zero. Tradition. Yeah, I'm gonna get that first. So the good thing about getting the first pointer of tradition, even though I'm gonna go for a Liberty start, is it gives me 3 culture at the start. That doubles my culture. It means we're gonna get the next policy in 5 turns. It also lets me expand my borders a lot quicker on all of my cities. And when I go for a Liberty start, those 2 cross over really nicely. It's a traditional Poland strategy, I think, normally, because with Poland you get so many social policies that you can do things like that. You can dip in and out of trees as you want them to be, which is quite nice. So you can see I've got a lot of tiles in my city that, I mean, I've only got the 2 tiles that give me pure growth at the moment, so there's nothing I can do to speed up the growth of my city any further until the granary gets put in. But we've got 1 food per turn. That's going to go to 3 just from the granary, 4, 5. So we're gonna grow really quickly. It's going to have we need a good strong capital to build the army up, so we're not fussed about that at all. There's not going to be many. There's not going to be any ruins really on this island, so it's kind of a good thing we didn't start with loads of scouts, especially on continents. They become a bit useless a bit quickly, really. So we're fine with that. So the idea is that we can take over if we choose to go down a conquest path, which at this point, depending on our start, we're gonna keep even as to whether we go diplomatic or domination. We want to be in a position, if we go domination, that we take over our entire continent. Let's zoom out a bit. We want to be in control of this entire continent by the time that any of the other people on the other continent get astronomy. Now, astronomy tends to sort of appear anywhere between about 1000 AD to about 1300 AD, pushing it once you get to 13. Really, we want to be in charge by 1000 AD. So we need to sort of be focusing a little bit on that. Just keep it in the back of our mind. Here we go. So it was 30 turns or something without the granary. We've now got 6 turn growth. That's really good. Let's put 1 turn of production into the shrine quickly, and then we're going to switch immediately to writing. We found the Congo. Hooray! That's wonderful. So Congo is a military city-state. Looks like Congo is going to have ivory, but maybe sea resource. We'll see what happens. But apart from that, maybe not much. Okay, right, so we've got our next policy, so we're going to open up the Liberty Tree now. That gives us 1 extra culture, which is good. So we're going to go for Republic, which will give us extra production. And then we're going to go for Collective Rule. So we'll see whether we build the settler before or after Collective Rule. We'll see how big our city can get first. I have a feeling if I keep going down here, it's going to be a bit of a dead end. I might move my warrior back and just sort of explore down this end now. Okay, yep, great. Japan. Oh no, the embassy, I completely missed it. It was up here. I think I walked straight past it. Okay, so we've got a little bit of space in the middle. We've got dyes being populated in the middle. Next to single tile mountains are great. They're really, really good because they give you the bonus of being able to build an observatory without compromising your city's expansion too much by just filling up with unworkable mountains. So this may be a good sort of bit to expand to. Maybe plopping it straight on the dyes to give us constant gold and happiness. That might be pretty good. Okay. So now I completely forgot, but we need to switch to the library. You see here, Great Library is going to take us 31 turns to do. That's just going to be too much for us. So there's no point in that. We're going to build a library straight off. It gives us that little bit of early science. And you may think only 2 extra science. Hopefully we'll get population 4, or maybe even 5 by the time the library is built. And you only get 1 science for every 2 citizens. But that does represent an almost sort of 30% increase. Very, very non-exact science for you there. In our sort of early game science, and that does help a lot. So we're going to go straight for a library and go from there. Build a library, build a shrine, and then possibly get a worker or 2, and then we can see about building some early game army. One of the things we need to do, of course, is build immortals before they get obsoleted by pikemen. Now, when you upgrade an immortal to a pikeman, he does keep on the 10% extra healing ability. So having pikemen that can soak up damage like that is very, very handy indeed. The downside is that if you were to build a pikeman over building an immortal, then you can't, unfortunately, it doesn't get the 10% extra healing if you build a pikeman from scratch. So you need to build the immortals first and then have enough gold to upgrade them later. We need to be hanging on to our gold for unit upgrades. That's going to be one of the biggest things. And possibly keeping a few city-states sweet, especially if we've got any mercantile city-states. But it doesn't look like we've got many on our island at the moment. Okay. You can see here from our start, we've got trapping, furs, but we've got a double gold start, so we've already got mining. That's fine. We don't really need anything else. We don't need masonry. We don't need calendar to start with. So we may as well go and just put a little bit of... We do need calendar in order to get philosophy. Now, the reason I want to go through philosophy so quickly is as soon as you pop up that national college, it sets your early game science brilliantly. The earlier you get the national college, the better you will do in the game, sort of very generally. So let's work towards philosophy first. After we've got philosophy, we can build archery very quickly and then go to bronze working. So go get some archers and then get some immortals. Again, one of the mistakes I made in my practice run is that I built so many immortals, but I didn't have anything in the way of catapults or archers, really. Well, I did have catapults and archers, but, you know, I had 6 immortals and, say, 2 archers and 2 catapults. That was a bit... I just didn't have enough range support. Okay, we've got tundra down here, so we're pretty close to the south of the map, so I expect the other continent will either be side by side or directly on top of ours. We're hoping that both continents are separated by seas. They normally are. You can see here, okay, so both haven't gone for a particularly aggressive start, so that's fine. Let's see if there's anything else down here. Barbarian encampments. Ooh hoo hoo. Joy oh joy. Yep, we can have an embassy. That's fine. They're going to find me. I think we're on such a small continent. The only reason you wouldn't accept an embassy is that if you didn't want the computer finding out where you actually lived. But we've got such a small continent that, I mean, you can see, if they couldn't find me, then that would be incredibly stupid. Kyoto is on the sea. For a second I thought Kyoto actually had missed the sea, which would have been quite funny. Okay, right, we're going to go for Republic. We've got 1 extra hammer in our city, which is good. That stacks for every city we've got, which is wonderful. Okay, let's continue this. Tasty Coke. Right. So we're about... maths failing me. 95 culture at 7 per turn is about 14 turns, roughly, away from being able to get our 3 settlers. It may be that once we built the shrine and a worker... Yeah, no, that's... okay, that's fine. We can wait on that. So we need a 3 city stats. We need to keep an eye on where we think our cities are going to be best. I'm quite keen on having one here in the middle of the island. Gives us a good base to attack Japan. You can see Japan has a lot of flat land around it, a lot of forest, which is going to be a pain. But again, London, we don't have... It's not a very mountainous, not a very hilly island, so it's going to be a bit low on production. But we've got enough hills here to get enough mines, I think, to make it worth it. Okay, I'm going to bring my warrior back, but I don't have any upgrades at the moment, so there's no rush. I'm just going to see here. Spot Sophia. Again, another militaristic city-state, which is intriguing. Really, we want a mercantile one, so we can get a lot of extra happiness to fund our war effort. Either that, or I like cultural ones, I like religious ones. But it's fine, we can live with that.